All right. It says the measure of angle FMN is 99. The measure of angle LMF is 36. Find the measure of angle LMN. So what do we do here to find the measure of angle LMN? We're going to add. What's 99 plus 36? 135. And on the second one, find the measure of angle WDC. If the measure of EDC, which is the outer angle, is 145, and the measure of angle EDW is 61, we want to find the measure of angle WDC. So what do we have to do here to find the measure of that angle? Subtract. So what's 145 minus 61? 84. Perfect. Just as a reminder, you do have a quiz on Friday. It is over this section. We finished this section. And then over 1.6, which we talk about tomorrow. You do have a test next Wednesday. It is over all of Chapter 1. Okay. Was anybody not here to get the project information on Friday? Okay, just checking. If you're virtual and you weren't here, it is on Google Classroom. It is due October 2nd. What happens if you turn it in early? 5 bonus points if you turn it in how early? The week. September 25th. Okay, by midnight. So a week early, you get plus 5 bonus points. If you would like examples, I have physical examples, not necessarily like a Google slide, but it'd be the same idea. I've got, stacks of them. I have examples of what to do. I have examples of what not to do. I have a lot. Okay, so if you want to look and see what an A project is, I can pull one out for you. Okay? We're at the top of page 7. Page 7. Bisecting angles. So, bisecting angles, or an angle bisector, is a ray that divides an angle into 2 congruent angles. So it is a ray that divides an angle into 2 congruent angles. It is a ray that divides an angle into 2 congruent angles. It is a ray that divides an angle into 2 congruent angles. So in this picture, YW, so YW is this ray. It bisects. So bisects means cut into 2 congruent pieces. It tells me it in this word, in the wording, in the figure, YW bisects angle XYZ, blah, blah, blah. But also in the picture, it shows that the angles are congruent. How does it show that the 2 angles are congruent here? The little lines, right? The little arcs. So it means that they're the same measure. Does it matter that they're not right next to each other? It does not. Here's why it's not signified like that. You're going to have this on your homework. It's going to have a line that goes from one ray to the other. Guess what this would represent? The whole angle, like X, Y, Z. So if you see that, and they're not 2 separate lines like in green, that would represent the whole angle. But if they're in green like this, 2 separate lines, that means that these are going to be the same measure. They're going to be congruent to each other. So knowing this, we're going to go to our example 5. Someone is going to read this to us. Who would like to read this? Thomas, go right ahead. Loud and proud.
Ray QS bisects angle PQR and measures angle PQS equals 24 degrees. Find measure angle PQR.
Perfect. So what do you think, class, is the most important word out of that entire set of directions? Bisect. Go ahead and highlight it. Without that word, we don't know enough information in this picture. Well, we kind of do. What in this picture signifies that the angles are 2 congruent angles? Yeah, the little lines. So we kind of already knew that QS was a bisector, okay, cutting that angle in half. The arcs mean that these 2 angles are congruent, so what is the angle measure of the bottom angle going to be? 24. So that is not my answer. It says find the measure of PQR. So we're going to write the measure of angle PQR and an equal sign. How do I find the measure of angle PQR? Add them. 24 plus 24, which makes 48 degrees. So again, the only reason I knew that they were congruent, there were two reasons why. It said the word bisects, but also it had these arcs, okay, which meant that they were the same measure. Then we've got two of these last examples. It says ray BD bisects, go ahead and highlight it, bisects angle ABC. So find the measure of angle ABD, the measure of angle CBD, and the measure of angle ABC. The reason why the directions are so important, in this picture there aren't little arcs or little lines showing me that they're congruent. So that those directions are everything that we need to know. So because these angles are bisected, we know that the measure of angle ABD is going to equal, I'm going to get to that. It's going to equal the measure of angle DBC. So we know they equal in measure. So what is the measure of angle ABD? Negative 4x plus 33. And the measure of angle DBC? 2x plus 81. So this is where you just use algebra. Which is the smaller x? Negative 4x or 2x? Which one is smaller? Negative 4x. If you have negative $4 in your bank account, you are poorer than the person that has $2 in their bank account. So how do I move that negative 4x to the other side? I'm going to add it. So on the left, we've got 33. On the right, we've got 6x plus 81. All right, then what do I do next? Subtract 81. Negative 81 plus 33 is negative 48. It's okay. Divide by 6. And what does x equal? Negative 8. Good. Do I circle that answer? No. I do not. What do I need to do with it? Plug it back in. So to find the measure of angle ABD, we're going to plug it in up here. Negative 4 times negative 8 plus 33. What is negative 4 times negative 8? 32. Plus 33 is 65. The same thing to find the measure of angle BDC. So plug in that negative 8. 2 times negative 8 is? 2 times negative 8. Negative 16. Plus 81.
Oh, wait, you said.
So minus 16 plus 81. It is 65. Would you look at that? Our angles are the same measure, right? And shouldn't they be? We set them equal. So the measure of each angle is 65. So we found the measure of ABD, check. The measure of CBD, check. Did we find the measure of angle ABC? We did not. So that's what we need to do next. There's no algebra for the measure of angle ABC, so how do I find it? Yeah, add 65 and 65, which makes 130. All right, this next one's going to be the same. If we know that they're bisected, we know that the measure of angle ABD is going to be equal Did that hurt? To the measure of angle DBC. So what's the measure of ABD? 8x plus 35. And the measure of angle DBC? 11x plus 23. So you always move, or I always move, the smaller x, which is the smaller x here. 8x, how do I move it across the equal sign? Subtract it. Oops. So 35. What is 11x minus 8x? 3x. It's okay, it was a long weekend. All right, I want 3x by itself. It's got that positive 23. How do I move it? Subtract it. So 3x equals 12. So x equals 4. So do I circle that? Negative. I plug it in. So the measure of angle ABD. What is 8 times 4? 32. Plus 35 is 67. Good. Then we're going to find the measure of angle DBC. Do the same thing. 11 times 4 is 44. Plus 23 is 67. Good. Then the last one, the measure of angle ABC. Go ahead and add them together. What is 67 plus 67? $134. So a couple things to point out. You do need to circle your answers. But don't circle something that is not the final answer. I did not circle x equals 4. Don't circle it. You only want to circle your final answers. Okay? Or box them in. I don't care. But on this next quiz, I'm going to start taking off if you do not circle your answer. If I don't know what it is, it's wrong. Okay? So make sure I know what your answer is. Do we have any questions about this? Okay. We're going to do the 1.5 review. Virtual students is called 1.5 review. Their notes. The single page. These are the first 2 questions on it. Can you do 1? 4. We're going to do a couple of these right now, and then we'll finish the rest of them later. 3, 6, 7 prizes in this thing. Give me a second to hand that out. Because tonight's homework is over all of 1.5, including what we just learned and also what we talked about last week. So we're going to review for a second just to make sure. This is not the homework. These are just notes we're going to do together. Okay, so we've got these first 2. Chelsea, can you read to me the directions? We'll call this one number 1.
The angle of BDA is a straight angle. Find the measure of angle ADC.
Perfect. So what do you think is the most important part of those directions, y'all? Straight angle. Go ahead and highlight it. Is there a bisected angle here?
Yes.
Does it say it? No. Does it have little arcs? No. So is there a bisected angle? No. So here is what we learned last week. The inner angle, the measure of BDC, plus the other inner angle, the measure of angle CDA, equals the measure of the outer angle, BDA. Again, this is also known as the inner angle plus the inner angle equals the outer angle. Inner plus the inner equals the outer. The directions told me what the outer angle equaled. What does the outer angle equal? 180. Okay, so keep that in mind. So we're going to plug in everything we know. What is the measure of angle BDC? Negative 4x plus 42. And the measure of angle CDA is Negative 6x plus 8. When I plug that in and there's already a plus sign, it's plus minus. What do y'all think? Yeah, just keep the minus. You don't really need the plus then. And then it equals the measure of angle BDA, which we said was 180. So now we've got an equation. We've got negative 4x minus 6x. They're on the same side of the equal sign. So what do we do there? Combine them. What's minus 4x minus 6x? Negative 10x. Plus 42 plus 8. Plus 50. Good. All right, and then I need that negative 10x by itself. So I've got to move this plus 50. So how do I move it across the equal sign? Subtract 50. So negative 10x equals 130. Divide by negative 10 and x equals negative 13. Yeah, you're good. Negative 13. Do I circle that answer? No. The directions ask me to find the measure of angle ADC. So what do we have to do to find the measure of angle ADC? Plug it in. Which one do I plug it into? Yeah, the ADC. That negative 6 times, what do we say? Negative 13 plus 8. 6 times 13 is 60 and 18, which is 78. And then what is 78 plus 8? 86. That is the only answer. That's it. It's the only thing you should have circled or boxed. What is a good way to check if my work was correct? Plug it in the other side. What should the other side? Well, how would I know that I was correct by using the other side? They add up and they'll equal 180. Okay, so you could plug it in. Again, this is not the answer, it's just us checking. 4 times 13 is 52. Plus 42 is 94. 94 plus 86 makes 180 degrees. So we would be correct. Okay. This last one, Michael, can you read us the directions?
In the diagram, RQ bisects the measure angle SRQ and measure QRT equals 54 degrees. Find the measure of SRQ.
Perfect. So what is the most important word in those directions? Bisects. Go ahead and highlight it. So we know we're dealing with bisected angles. We also know the measure of QRT is 54 degrees. We want to find the measure of SRQ. So if we know that these angles are bisected, we know they're the same measure. So if this is 54 degrees, the other portion is 54. So then what do we do to find the measure of SRQ? Add them. What's 54 plus 54? 108. Good. Good, good. So at this point, I'm going to hand you your homework, and we'll talk about it. So we're going to all look at number 1 together. I'm not solving this for you. I am trying to help you so I don't have to answer the same question 18 times. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the most common mistake on these problems. Do these pictures have numbers on them? No, they're all in the directions. So guess what I highly recommend that you do? Put it in the picture, right? Put it in the picture. So, because that's when you'll find the measure of HGF is 16x plus 4. The measure of EGF is 110. The measure of HGE is 3x plus 11. I'm not going to color code the rest just for you to know. But first off, does the word bisect appear at all? No. Do you have little arcs? No. Also, just think about this logically. Think about pizza if you like pizza. Think about cake. I prefer cake. Ready? If you were offered this slice of cake and this slice of cake, one is more superior than the other. Do we agree? One is larger. They are not equal. So you cannot set them equal because they do not equal. Do we understand each other? So, if they do not equal, you know that the inner angle plus the inner angle equals the outer angle, correct? So make sure you plug in the inner angle plus the inner angle equals the outer angle. The reason I'm especially articulating that is because you see this number 110? Is it an inner or an outer angle? It's an inner angle. Most people are trying to make this whole equation equal 110, and it does not. So the inner angle plus the inner angle equals the outer angle, and then you solve. Okay, some of these just want x, some of them want you to plug it in like the others. Okay, go ahead and begin.